Hi guys, it's Penelope in London. What I want to do is just anybody that's feeling depression out there currently is to maybe dig a bit deeper. And depression can be very hard when it hits because sometimes we can get stuck in a loop. A lot of depression generally comes from the past, from our early imprints and early years. We can see it in astrology also on aspects, but that may be a bit too complex for people. Unless you want your chart read with me and you book a session, then we could look at it from that aspect. But the other main aspect to look at it from would be Pete Walker, Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. He wrote an article on managing abandonment depression in complex PTSD because many people, and including myself, when we do get depressed, we're generally flashing back to events from the past. And what's currently going on in society, I believe, because of the lockdowns, depression has got a bit rife, and we need to be able to understand what's going on to deal with it and to pull ourselves out of it eventually. There's nothing wrong ultimately with feelings and going through, moments of feeling depressed or moments of feeling sadness, but we don't want to disassociate. That's the other important thing. Disassociation would be if we start using things like alcohol or drugs to take away feelings, because it doesn't, those things don't get rid of the feelings. The ultimately, once we, if we use stuff to get change our moods, then when we're not using, we end up in the same situation, if not worse. So what I would say is, I'm not going to read all of this. You can see this article is quite long. He's got a bit here about the normalcy of depression, which I'll probably read for you, to be that may be helpful if you don't want to read it yourself. He says that we live in a culture that judges fear as despicable and depression as an unpatriotic violation of the pursuit of happiness. Taboos about depression even emanate from the psychological establishment, where some schools strip it of status as a legitimate emotion, dismissing it simplistically as mere negative thinking or as a dysfunctional state that results from the repression of less taboo emotions like sadness and anger. He says, I believe we must learn to distinguish depressed thinking, which can be eliminated, from depressed feelings, which must sometimes be felt. Occasional feelings of enervation and anhedonia are normal and existential, part of the admission price of life. Moreover, depression is sometimes an invaluable harbinger of the need to slow down, to drop interiorly into a place that at least allows us to restore and recharge, and at best unfolds into our deepest intuitiveness. Our reoccurring gift that typically comes cloaked in depression, one reoccurring gift that typically comes cloaked in depression, is an invitation to grow that necessitates replenishing a formerly treasured job or relationship that has now become obsolete or moribund. So when things, just come to an end, sometimes things come to an end and we can feel some depression about that. It can be a job, a relationship, just the way we're living. So also, I would add, he says, overreaction to depression essentially reinforces learned toxic shame. So it reinforces the individual's notion that when depressed, he is unworthy or she defective and unlovable. Sadly, this typically drives him or her deeper into abandonment, exasperating isolation. Deep level recovery from childhood trauma requires a normalization of depression, a renunciation of the habit of reflexively reacting to it. So what we can do is, do the inner child work and, spend some time with your inner child. That's like, if you're feeling a bit down during this period, hide under the duvet, eat some ice cream if you like ice cream. Do things that soothe you, and just simple things. And don't expect much of yourself if you're feeling a bit low. It's okay to go inward and to reflect. But clearly, if you're feeling severely depressed and you're having thoughts, that are scaring you, then do go get help. Just reach out to somebody, go and get help. Don't stay stuck in it. We're in a very tricky situation at the moment. And many people have been shut down to the point of not seeing anybody. Like some people have gone through a whole year with no human interaction from March, from the lockdowns. So also go to, read this whole article. You can see at the top here, PeteWalker.com, managing abandonment depression.htm. And the other thing you can do is get his book, this one here. You can get it on audio and also Audible, and you can buy it on, you can see here, buy the book on paperback, ebook or audiobook, okay? Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. And the other one is good as well, The Tao of Fully Feeling, I've read, and I haven't read this one yet, but I intend to do that in the next coming months. Okay, hopefully this is useful to someone out there. Catch you later.